questions for you in the in-call messages. So I'm giving, like I'm asking, reading those things out. So, ma'am, you did BTech in, you did BTech, means BTech subject. So, BTech.
Yeah, it's computer science. It's a computer science and engineering, CSE.
Yes. And Altaf Ali, he said, like, what should be the path for getting a job in European countries after just completing BTech?
I have no expertise in this area, but all I can tell you, like, it's not that easy, to get a job in an international or internationally, right? Because so how their job market work, or even here the job market works. So you have to show extraordinary abilities that nobody has in this country. If you have that sort of ability, like maybe you're a great musician, maybe you're a great artist, then you qualify for that, right? You can exceed the average people's expectation in this country, and you are fine to immigrate. But if somebody from an outside of India wants to hire you, they have to show their labor council or whoever in their country to show that I have advertised for this job. I have seen or I have interviewed this many people after this advertisement. Yet I didn't find any particular person who can fit this role. If he can, or that company or organization can show that, then they can hire you. That's fine. But can you expect to exceed expectations just coming after or coming out of your school? That's just too much to expect, right? I'm not underestimating you. You might be very good and very smart, but it's very hard to migrate in that way. So all you can do is, like, sometimes people go with TCAs or CTAs and they get an on-site, go there, and there are ways to change their owning company. They switch from this company to that company quickly. So I know one of my friends who went and then went to Netherlands, and then in Netherlands they flipped their company and left TCS and went under the hire of that company, which is their client, I think so. So that's one of the route that you can think of, but this is not like bed of roses. So these are difficult. And the other way you can think of is to pursuing a master degree in some European company, European university. In that way, you can graduate there, but you have to talk about the opportunities upfront. Like, it's not like that once you graduate, you will just walk out of school and you'll get an opportunity. Somebody will hand it over to you. No, there is no such thing. Even in here, it is very difficult for both MS and PhD student to get an internship. So if you get it, you are very lucky. But if you're not, then it's a very hard road to travel. So yeah, there's no shortcut, and I do not have any answer like that. But it's the best path to get a job in European country. Yeah. I think I have answered both of your questions. That either you have to go through some industry and change it over there, or you have to get an admission to a school and then graduate from there and get a job there. There is no any shorter way. What type of interview question in company for MTech students? What type of interview question in company for MTech student? The other question is, I don't remember, because after MTech, I didn't interview for any company. All I can remember during the interview process in TCS, they initially asked everyone to go through the aptitude test. That was common and general for everyone. And then based on your expertise, you might be asked like different question, but I'm not sure what type of question it was, because for me, I remember my questions were around C++, concepts of C++, like polymorphism, then function overloading, things like that. But for MTech, I'm not sure, honestly.
Okay, Madhumari, one question from my side for these students. Like if they plan to go for masters in the, say, either in European Union or say in the USA or Canada, so in this way, if they want to plan, so what is the procedure? Means how they can, at which stage, at 4th years after completing, they should like they should start preparing for these things, or what should be the approach from their end? So at 3rd year or final year, they should start. What should be the approach?
Yeah, I think they should start. Yeah, so they should start ahead of time. Like if you want to waste a year after coming out of your school, then it is fine. Like it's up to you. But personally, I would suggest to start 1 or 2 years ahead of time. I took GRE one time, and then people can take 2 times if you think that you can improve on your score and then sit for the exam. And also, I think for English, you have to take the TOEFL test. I think I didn't go for TOEFL because I was exploring European options too. So if you take IELTS, that will open up Canada. These days, actually, universities take IELTS. And this is easier and a better fitted for Kolkata, because I think TOEFL dates are infrequent and IELTS is organized by British Council very often, so you can take it as you want. And that will make you eligible for Australia, Canada. You can also ask your university. So I have listed a set of universities. I have preferences to stay somewhere in East Coast. So I sort of shortlisted the colleges accordingly, and I've written to the colleges that, hey, do you take IELTS as opposed to TOEFL? And they said, okay, we are fine with that. Right now, most of the US universities accept IELTS too, so TOEFL is not a mandatory thing, but it's better be asked before than to go and sit for the exam and ask later. Also, the GRE and IELTS also allows you to forward the score. On the day of the exam, you are fine to forward the score free of cost to, I think, for IELTS 5 universities, for GRE 4 universities. And these are expensive. Like for any additional score that you would like to forward, it will cost you $22, which is around, I think, 1,500 rupees or something, to forward the score to that university. So you have to make sure that you decide at least 4 universities that you're going to apply for. And right then and there, after you finish your exam, you can forward your score to those universities. That's the intelligent thing to do. So you have to start preparing a little ahead of time based on like what your expertise are. These are the English is the toughest one, not the maths, because you have all you have is engineering background. So I believe elementary mathematics that you all can do. Only thing that you have to manage is your time and English, which is pretty challenging because it's not a colloquial English. Even I haven't seen any US people to use that kind of English that GRE requires. I've been interacting with many people. They just speak like us. Like they have different dialects and things, but majorly their vocabularies is very similar to what we do on a daily basis. But these are like completely out of the place vocabulary. So yeah, you need some time to prepare. IELTS is an easy go, so it's you can do it very easily. Maybe I prepared for 15 to 20 days for IELTS. Yeah. So that's the case. For Germany, they might have a different requirement. You need some sort of elementary German grade A or something. I'm not sure what was it. I talked to somebody in some German university, but you can ask. Like one of my limitations was like I was thinking to go for an English-speaking country. So I was looking for Canada. Canada is also very flexible. It's quite similar to US. And the immigration path to immigration is swift than US. Hopefully by the time you guys will come, US will have a better sort of immigration plan for you. Right now, everything is kind of cramped. So, yeah.
And ma'am,
yeah,
how do you use to manage your time?
On what?
On your BTech 4th year, like we will be soon getting on to 4th year after 1 or 2 months. So how did you use to manage your time in the final year?
So I do not have any. So I was very directed to my family. I always went back home once after finishing my school. Even I wasn't sure that there was an ATM right across my school, college. So I was being bullied by my professor when I asked them, like, where is the ATM? And he said, like, you studied here for 3 years and you do not know where the ATM is. So I was that sort of person. But honestly, it was not that challenging. So what all things that you're balancing? Just a quick question. Like, why do you think that this is difficult to like balance your time?
Because I face problems by managing my time. So like all the things get to the last hours, like submitting the 12 a.m. assignment at 11:59 p.m. So this things happen with me a lot.
Yeah, that actually, like, we are big time procrastinator,
Yes.
right? Like, we'll do it. So, but I have seen, like, my husband was also studying with me here, and he's a kind of other way around. This might be the engineering people that push things for the last minutes. I would say, so he usually, I have seen him to start on the day 1 and finish it on the day 3, but submit it on 11:59. So if you can do something, but this is like nature, right? People are by nature different, and you cannot change things that easily. So I do not have any answer. All I can say, like, you have to be a little honest to yourself. You guys are very young right now.
I tried too much but couldn't help it. I always go to the last hour. Like by hooks or by crooks, I go to last hour.
I think one of the better ways, like how I do it here after coming to a company, that I set a smaller deadline. You know that you have to finish the whole work on that day at 12, whereas I set up it as like, I have to do this work within first 3 days, this work within like next 4 days. So that first 3 days, on the third day is your deadline for a first job. If you're not done, that's not okay. So break it down in multiple parts and then just set the deadline for yourself. That's how it works. Like if I have to design a POC, it gives me like 6 months. And if I wait for the 6 months, for a 6 month like hefty work, then it's not going to get done, right? So I have to set a weekly goal. Like by this week, I will freeze up the design. By this week, I'll find out a new algorithm. By this week, I will try to tune it. Then by Friday, if I don't have it, then I have to compensate it somehow by working through the weekend. And that's not okay, because here people don't work on weekends because they think that's a recharge time when you can recharge and then come back on Monday. If you do it for a couple of weeks, then you will feel exhausted. You don't come fresh and work on Monday. So yeah, so that's something people highly encourage, to take your vacation, time off, get recharged, come back. So I would say like take small, short deadlines and divide your work. That might be helpful to start with, but there is no particular recipe. I don't know.
Sure, man. Thank you.
Hey, no problem.
Yes, Kushal, you can ask your question.
Ma'am, actually, ma'am, I'm in second year. And I wanted to ask that how you means for the coding and all, how you approach, means first you clear your all the theoretical knowledge, or knowledge theory plus practice, or practice and by means increasing your knowledge by practicing different types of questions. What was your approach?
So coding in the sense, like there could be coding for, let's say I wanted to sit for an interview, right? When we were trying, people usually use here LeetCode. You must all be aware of it. But then there is an approach where you try to think about a small problem. Let's say you want to find a unique number within a list or something like that. You try to develop the logic and start writing the code. But in my work, let's say if I want to design an algorithm which is uniquely serve our purpose, then I have to think for a long time. Then I have to design, let's say, a design, or it's called a UML diagram, that tells me what all activities look like. which all agents will be there. Let's say there is a thread, there are a couple of threads, there is a shared memory, there are some queues, whatever. I will try to put as much as detail in the diagram. And the function calls, who calls what are the what are the parameters that are passed, what are the return values, what the thread does once it gets the returns back. So once you have that picture clear, now coding is the simplest thing, right? Even if you do not know how to do it, you will eventually learn. Like if you have not written an MPI code where you are writing a multi-threaded programming with message passing, you do not know how to do it, but eventually you will learn it. More importantly is you have to know the basic construct, like you have to know how a thread works, or let's say you have to know how a lock, mutex, or condition variables or something like that works, because my work is very tied to the Linux software stack, right? And you cannot mess around with that. That's a huge code base. And if you are, so ideally, if you plug our code back for a solution, it will go to a Linux release. And you don't want to release a buggy code, right? So that's why it is more important for you to go through it. And it's not just me, there are several eyes, because I can fail to see something which they can see, they have more experience, they will come back and say that this will take a lot of CPU cycle, you cannot do this, you have to change it some other way. So the design is something which is very important, and I've seen it, I have realized that once you have that design clear, coding is something which doesn't take much.
Ma'am, because in interview, they ask mostly the design, or they want to see the code. Is they see your coding skills, or they see your just problem finding skills? Is how you are approaching.
No. So in interview, they will definitely see your coding skills. So for that, it requires practice. So that's what I'm saying. Like, these are small things, but you have to keep practicing. There is no other shortcut. Because what you are beating there is basically the time. They will give you, let's say, 15 minutes to think about it and come up with a solution. If you haven't have your hands dirty, you won't be able to reproduce it. Or if it is a new problem, like sometimes I have interviewed many interns this summer and in the prior summer. So what we look for is the logic development skill. I do not ask or encourage anybody to write a code. I know that put into the place, they will be able to do it. I usually ask them, like, what is your thought process? And I ask them very core technical operating system question, and I try to assess them, like what will be their assessment, like virtual memory, page fault, paging, thrashing, then barrier variable, let's say, for threading. What are the difficulties in threading, condition variable, atomicity, things like that. So I just wanted to see that, well, whether your base is clear. But overall, what they look for, like if you, I know for Amazon and other companies, it is more important for them to have a executable code. But for me, or I've seen some other companies who just look for the logic, whether you can develop the logic, because we try to keep you calm when you are interviewed, because your nerves may get the best of you, right? You don't know. So we try to make yourself comfortable first. If you're very like nervous wreck, and then you're just like not able to speak that well, we try to give a lot of time to calm you down first. And then accordingly, we will change our question sometime. That, okay, this guy is very intimidated by this interview process. Let's just be a little gentle on him. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, so we cannot help beyond that, right? So I would suggest that you practice. There is no alternative to practicing. The more you practice, you will come up with the answer, believe me. So you just have to try. The more you practice, you will be able to answer. And it as soon as you start answering a first question, it will boost up your confidence level. And there are actually companies, like we were so naive, we are not being told anything. We are not, like I didn't do any personal research. Internet was like not that popular I didn't know, at least I won't blame anybody. I do not expect anyone to come and tell me. But if you have if you want to apply for jobs, you can also apply for jobs outside Kolkata if you want to go out. There are companies like Amazon, Google, and whatnot. Everything, whatever is here, it's there. So you can apply and qualify to get a job there if you're good. At least there's no harm to try, right? You might not get, but there's no harm to try.
Acha, I have a question for for these students. Like, if the students plan to go for the masters in the USA or Canada or European, means outside India. So if they are planning something like this, so what is the job opportunity there? So in those countries, so how easy to get a job there?
So for I can talk about US. Canada, I'm not very sure. They do have similar opportunities, but I see after US, perhaps India, because the technical job opportunities is better in India, maybe after US. Like, it's not important to be out of India just because I want to go out, right? It's more important that you are doing whatever you are doing is worthy, right? And if I am in India, I can happily go back to India and join some of the companies. But my only condition is I have to be in Kolkata. If I am outside Kolkata, then for me it's equivalent, right? I'm not been able to be with my family, and also I can do better here. So for me, I think I have seen the best opportunities coming out of there is another option is China. I do not know whether they will take us, but they have good companies, and I have collaborated with many Chinese people and companies, and they're genuinely good companies there. For US, I think it's challenging anywhere. If you want to start afresh, if you're a fresh graduate coming out of school, it is hard to get a job, and there is no campusing opportunity. There are job fairs where companies will come and collect your resume. Sometimes I might give you a call or not. There is something you are tagged with that you are international, you need a visa or sponsorship. That's kind of a bummer. Sometimes that doesn't go into your favor. So this immigration system is so complex that people will any day prefer somebody who is a citizen as opposed to you, right? If you have an equal expertise. If you have 2 years of experience, let's say, and this guy doesn't, then they will think, okay, let's just sponsor this guy. Looks like he's a good deal, right? But overall, there are companies who doesn't look for it, like Amazon. They apply for thousands of or maybe 10,000s of sponsorship every year. So they don't really care. You are just another one. But that's where it's very important, because it's very hard to get in, because the screening process and then the interview process is multi-stage, and it's very difficult. But once you land into, so it's easier to get an internship than get a full-time opportunity. If you are fine to get at least one opportunity, so for PhD students it's easier. For MS it is difficult, because MS students have a single summer. And within that, if they are able to get an opportunity, then they can easily mature it into full-time, as I did. I worked for Intel, and then Intel offered me a full-time position. That's how it works. For PhD student, it's easier. I'm just running because I'm running out of time too, I know. So the thing is that for PhD student, they have 4 or 5 summers. So in the beginning years, if you don't get anything, you have to make sure that you get something at least in the later years, so that you can mature it into a full-time position. For MS, it is more challenging. There are other things like PhD student can postpone their graduation and look for jobs before going out of school. For MS student, there is no such opportunity. They have to graduate once their courses are done. So there are lots of loopholes. So it's hard, but it's not impossible, because US has a lot of jobs. Joy, does that answer your question?
I guess Joy sir is having some internet issues.
Okay.
So, ma'am, one question I also have, one last question from me. What do you exactly see in a resume when you first see a resume?
For a student from here is like what is his interests like people usually, if they can write a single line of code on some certain language, they usually put that in. I ask for the projects, what they have worked on, to describe like what is the project all about, and then what are the technologies used. Like let's say somebody can say like I have used Jenkins for CI, which is continuous integration. And I asked them like, how is your project interesting? And is it an industry experience or you designed something for your school? And then to assess the intellect level, we sometimes ask about what is your pastime. The very important part where what we assess here is your behavioral skill, like how good a teammate you will be if you join us. So this is a kind of, so if you are not satisfied in the behavioral test, you'll be disqualified right then and there. So you don't have to go for a technical round then.
Okay.
Yeah. So technical varies depending upon which project that you want to recruit that person. But I look for the projects and the school, which year he's in. Let's say if I'm looking at resume, one is third year, another is second year BTech, then I will prefer the third year because he has seen more or he has read more than the other. For an intern position. For a full-time, it depends again for the role, like what you are applied to and whether your skill sets are aligned and whether I have anybody in the line. So it comes like the best preference, the second best preference, and so on. So you kind of go through everyone and see. Maybe sometimes the resume is not that wonderful, but the person whom I'm talking to has a better idea and have a better skills. So then I'll go with, let's say, that person, even though his resume is not that wonderful or shining.
Any more questions from the audience? I think we have answered a lot of questions. Thank you, Purya ma'am. So it's like it's a pleasure to have you with us. Yes, it's a pleasure to to have you with us because the experience you have, so that will help the students to choose the right career path. Because after this BTech, they have multiple opportunities and which path they should choose. So for that perspective, actually, we have arranged this meeting, this webinar, so that they can understand. If they are also like they are thinking for higher studies, the opportunities are there. If they are going for after BTech, also they have the opportunities, and also if they want to start any startup, so those options are also there. So these opportunities are there, and ma'am, you have like shared your knowledge and how you are actually working in that particular company and what is the process that is going on inside the Intel. So it's really fascinating. So we get to know all these things because of you. Again, thanks a lot for this beautiful presentation, and hope to see you in our future events also.
Hey, thank you, Joy, for this opportunity. Hopefully, my information is going to help anyone in any way. So, to conclude, I will just say that whatever I said is just my experience. You might get some help from me, but do whatever you think the best. I'm not the yardstick, right? I'm just an example. So you have to choose your right path. And you guys are smart. You have a lot of things in front of you due to internet. So look through everything and choose your best opportunity. Thank you so much. I really enjoy talking to you guys. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Yes. So we'll proceed now with our this event. So in this event, so we have another speaker. So the speaker is our in-house speaker. So the speaker is Mr. Shumon Das. he's a community member of architect team. So basically, he has done some internship in the industry, so he has some experience in the working in that specific domain. So he has done some backend development. Also, he has also done some development in the field like Node.js. Also, he has also worked. So like this Cosgrid Networks Private Limited, Chennai. So basically, he has worked there, and like for marketing advertising solution in the virtual mode, he has worked in these different companies. So he will share his experience with you guys so that how it feels like if you want to implement something and if you want to push those things in a real time, if you want to collaborate. So what are the platforms you will be using? Okay, so where you will test those things, how you can deploy those things in real world. So these kind of aspects will be like a slot. These particular things will be given. The insight will be given by Mr. Shuman Das in this aspect. Okay, so Shuman Das, please share your screen and start your presentation.
Well, thank you, Joy sir. Can you listen? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, and we can we can see your screen as well.
Okay. So what actually I'm going to talk about is development. So what is actually development? Development means you could actually develop. There is something difference between engineering and development. Engineering means engineering the development processes. So if you are going to the development, you will develop the product. So many type of development actually comes in our way. Among them, there is app development, machine learning development, and web development. So specifically, I chose web development because it's very easy to start at, and it's very easy to reach out to the people with that skill. So I am going to talk about the web development part. Before that, I'm going to talk about the introductions. So what I'm going to just say that how to start and how to choose the actually right development path and how to get help if you ever get stuck and how to help also other peers who are working with you and how to deploy if you ever just created anything, how to show it to the world. So what skills actually need to become a developer? A developer needs many skills, and among them, of course, the coding is the mandatory things that we know. So for if any professional developers want to do the development, they should know on coding. Normally, the student starts with the C programming or C++ in the school and first up of college. And I think learning C++ and C, it's a very important because if you ever learn C and C++, then it's a very easy if you go to the other languages. It's very easy to switch to the other languages. So because nowadays it's common that new languages and platforms are constantly appearing. Many new languages are coming. So you have to be consistent enough. And I think C++ has the power of being consistent enough more than any languages. And also it's very good for if you want to do the algorithms, etc. It's the most powerful of them. So it's for the basics. And the most, there is many other like problem solving is the most common thing, etc. was there. But I think most important, if you ever, because sometimes it's very tough to build a product or anything from a scratch, like you are doing everything alone. So you have to work with others. So what if that person actually works like different type of thing? Like he works in his style, you work in your style. So how to actually collaborate, how to mix those to create a good app or a great product? So for that, you need a very good collaboration strategies, mostly the coding comment and the indentation and using the right tools. And what are the right tools? There are many right tools actually. So there comes actually DevOps and Agile pattern. So actually they require another sessions if you want to talk about it. So I'm not going to touch that. Just I'm talking that these are the processes, automation and the collaboration strategies you could use. And then I'm going to talk about just what are the types of web development out there. First off, front-end web development. At past time, what happened? The front-end development is only the front-end. Like the front-end developers does only HTML and only the viewpoint, like what people are saying, not that logical things. But tables have turned. Nowadays, front-end developer are also in the higher, like they have higher chance of hiring. They have higher demands because now front-end development is becomes more logical. You may not have the style of you don't know CSS, you don't know that much of front end, but you could contribute to the front end very much if you have a very good knowledges. So that's the thing. So for the front end web technologies, there are mainly three frameworks that you could use. And importantly, you have to learn JavaScript if you ever want to do front end. That's for the browser. There is options Angular, React, and Vue. Angular is a more enterprise thing. Enterprise thing, and React normally used mostly by startups and other normal small companies. And Vue is it's a much open source. It's maintained by community, so it's normally the developers use that. So what the nowadays Angular's popularity is decreasing because of its steep learning curve, because it is a framework, like you have to learn many things and also follow his guidelines. And React is flexible. Vue is much better because it's the best of both worlds. Like you could get the best of Angular and React both. So one person just created that, and that's a really good thing. If you are just developing for yourself, it's a very good front end uh, tool. But why Angular is much in the enterprise? Because it's the most secure. It's maintained by Google. It's regularly updated. That's why they have the most security things, and you could use Angular. And React are also created by Facebook. They also are updated. But for the case of Vue.js, they don't trust that. Many people don't trust that open source community. And for the backend development, so what's actually backend development? You see where in the website, it's all the front ends. So something is behind that, which is generating your, like, what you are clicking. You are say that in the front end you pressed buy that product. So after that, it will go through many process. It will update the databases, many things like after updating databases, they will also analyze. Also, they will do the research, etc., over the user experience. So that backend things, which the normal users can't see. Normal users can't see what I say, that inside the company there is also the backend team behind the front end. So for the backend developments, there are different languages for the different types of working. So in the below there is PHP, Ruby, and Java. And Java is a very enterprise language, so it's sometimes become like tough to learn, and also it is heavy, and also like it needs more resources. Ruby and PHP, it's becoming outdated. So normally for the backend, I don't recommend to use those because those are they have too many bugs, and they are more vulnerable to the attacks. And for the three things, like they have the Golang, JS, and Python. If you want to do machine learning like things, and then also want to expose that machine learning work to the others, you I think it's much better to use Python, because Python has some web servers to use. And if you are going to be a full stack developer, that I'm talking after few time, like you want to do front end and back end. So I think you need to, or you could use Node.js, because that's you learn only JavaScript you use in the front end and back end both. So if anyone wants to do the pure backend, so what they will do? I think for them, Golang is a very much good language, because out of all languages, what I said, Node.js and Python, those are actually run by interpret. They are not a proper, like, it is not running compiler. So that Golang, it is fast, it's efficient, and it's also easy to learn. And for the system level programming, it's very much important. So if anyone wants to do pure backend, so I would recommend to go with Golang actually. So for full stack development, I said that that's a bit of both world. They will build some front end and also the backends. So for that, I would suggest to use maybe Node.js. in the back end, and in the front end, any of the given frameworks. Yes. So what are the resources? Like, well, at first, how to start to do programming about the development. So for that, I think you need some tutorial or anything the ways. So for that, I think the only and one sources is GitHub, because GitHub one very good, like a very good program. That's the GitHub Students Pack, and I think if you use the SNU domain, you will get it. You will get it for 1 year, and you could also there you have many resources where you could learn and also like get the credits from the large, like from Google, AWS, Azure. They just give some credits to actually deploy your code. So, and GitHub also a hub for the developers, because here what happened, everyone shares their code. So that's why it's there is everything is there. If you check the GitHub Students Developer Pack, you will get all the resources there, and also the like economical resources which you have to pay them if you don't like use that pack. So I will suggest that. And then the part is deployment. So you get a, like you able to build something, so you have to deploy. The back in days, what happened, you have to like build a server room, and then you have to like run the server, then you have to connect the server like data centers to the internet. So after that, that's a very costly process if you able to do that. After that, it came the cloud world, where you could like what, you just hire a rent a VM, like a computer from the cloud companies, given the Azure and GCP. There was big companies, so they provide the computers. There you could directly run the server and access it through the Nginx. Now what happened? Actually, there is one concept called containerization. What happened? You could package a program in there. So after packaging it, you will just distribute it. So it is it is Docker, and this Docker does, it's actually containerize an application. It's actually its own topic. If you want to talk about it, another session we have to talk it. And this is containerize one application, and this is Kubernetes. So what happens? It's actually orchestrate those containers to run very well, and it is Git. And nowadays, if you don't use Git and GitHub, it's impossible to be in the development world, because Git is everything. You have to use Git, otherwise you will not able to collaborate or show off or anything. You will not able to do. Then Nginx is actually the routing, and it is load balancing, and this is Terraform. Like you could actually program the cloud deployment in your own way. Like there is also that language they created, that's Terraform, and you can use the continuous integration. Like you write a code, you just pushed it to the Git, automatically it will just build and deploy to the world. Just you don't have to do that much like just putting in the server, and you don't have to run the code. You just put the code in the GitHub, it will automatically done all the things. That's common as continuous integration. And outside there, like they're actually provided GCP is there, DigitalOcean, Azure, AWS, and out of them actually DigitalOcean is much developer friendly. So it is maintenance. It's actually most toughest thing. Why? Because when you are working with the programmers, if you work solo, even if you work solo, after sometimes if you write a bad code, what's a bad code? Like you are writing almost 10,000 lines in one file. That's and also not adding any comment about any functions, anything. So then it's a problem actually, because if you don't take that, otherwise after 1 month, if you came it, so you will feel like that. Like it's some kind of selfish, I can't read it. Like you can't able to read that. even it's impossible for the professionals to check your code. There is many professionals who could like check the code and so the logic, but still it's a hard work. If you just specify that, it's very much easier for one. So for that, you need to add comments, split the files into many folders, and also document the code in much efficient way. Documenting like you will write what functions is doing what, etc., etc. And if you write that, so you will able to get that. So now I will just do one thing, that I will go give some demo. It's a very small project that I will just deploy in the cloud, and it will be run on the real time. So let's one minute. So this is actually Visual Studio Code. And if you are nowadays doing development, you have to use the, uh, the Visual Studio Code because it's a very much efficient. I'm sharing actually one link which you could follow along. I actually shared one Google Docs link where I have just stated all the steps what I followed, and I'm actually basically doing it for the Linux, in the Linux Ubuntu server that's I bought from the Azure. Okay. So if you open that, you will find all the steps that I written. First, you have to install the Git. Without that, it's not possible to like clone the repository what I created. That is actually in the architect repository. So it's a real-time chat app. It's a very small code. So you have to first clone the repository. So if you just clone that, you will get the real-time chat app is actually open. You have to then enter into that folder, that CD real-time chat app, and after entering there, you need to deploy it. Okay, so first there is actually there are some steps where you could like install the Docker. I will use the Dockerization method in which it will be just deployed. Just updating the, and then you have to install some APK repositories. I have installed that. Actually, that's why it's taking not that much time. It will just I'm just copy pasting some codes from there to the install. Actually, I have all the Docker installed. Then I am just install the Docker. So Docker is actually installed already. So that's why it will not take so much time in my system. It's actually in the cloud. It is not in my system actually. It is in the Azure, any of the Azure's data center. It is running actually. And I am just opened that using Visual Studio Code. That's the Docker. And if you want to use other operating system, they have in the documentation, they have actually provided that. So after that, you have to like, there is one thing called Docker file where you have give instruction how to containerize it. So I have just added the Docker file from first, and then let's just build the container. So I just named one build container. So if I show you Docker images, it is the one like I created. It is created 10 seconds ago. It's the chat. This is a chat container I created. So I will now just run that image. Okay, so after that running, it's automatically, it is now actually running in this VM. Now it is actually in the remote. So in that IP in which I have actually opened, how will you get that? So for that, you have to one.
Shuman, your screen is not visible.
Yeah, sorry, sir. It's actually okay. Now is it visible, sir?
Yes, now
Yes, this is visible.
So this is a very simple code where like it's a JavaScript of only 32 lines. So it will get built. So now it is actually running inside the development, like in the VM. So I have to show it to the other world. This VM is assigned IP in the app, you could say 15.206.189.197. So if you just check that IP I am sharing on the meeting, you will see it's like gateway error or something. But after sometimes when I will deploy it, you will able to see that there is, I have shared that. Then what I have to do, that this actually this is remain image, and if you run an image, it will become a container. So after that, it is become a container. Up- So container to image like that, that's a very tough thing like to understand at first. So that's it's need actually different sessions if I going to explain it. So I'm just telling you one. So you need to show that to the world that what actually were. One, I have to skin my full screen. There is a Docker Hub. It is actually already deployed. I just actually. So this is the Docker Hub. Like if I publish the image here, automatically it will be like you could also access that. So for that, I will just log into my system for Docker Hub. Okay, it's already logged in. So that's why it will ask for the actually your account username and password. So if you have to create the account in the Docker Hub, if you want to like push your image to the public world. So for that, it is normally simple some steps you have to tag and push. And after that, I will just pull like what I have did at first pushed the my image to the Docker Hub, and after that I will just take it from the Docker Hub. Like even if you just do that sudo docker pull, if you Docker installed and you run the command docker pull rds summon chat, you will get my image and you will able to run that container. And okay, so it's already okay. Now actually it is running the server on the port 4000. and now your port is running 4,000, but you want to show it to the world. Like, how would you show that? For that, you have to use one routing software called Nginx. You need to install it, install Nginx, and also in the ATC in the Linux, there is ATC Nginx sites enable plus Nginx. There is one file. You have to copy this code, because what actually it is saying that you have to redirect that localhost 4000 that's in the running on the 4000 port to the default port 80. Now the code is actually, I have to go to so there is actually Nginx configuration that's said that this will pass the proxy. So after that, I have to just simply restart the Nginx service. Okay, it's restarted. Now you could, like, if you open that IP, it's that chat app is actually deployed, and now it has the total clients of 3, right? And you could just change the name, and you could just simply send the message. And I will tell someone actually to chat here. So it's normally a normal simple chat app. Anyone could chat here. We could add many modifications here. So if someone is also typing message, it will be written here. Okay, that's actually deployed. You could also point your domain name to this. Okay, so that's actually very brief hands-on session. It's a very brief. You may not able to digest it properly, but it needs some time to understand that. So I just share that thing. And now I want to say that, like, what we want to build. Like, at first, I want to share something. We are actually one in the website. Okay, so what's I will talk something about architect. That's from the SNU. We have got, like, if some people comes forwards to build something good, so it will be much better. And we will just we will able to talk with each other, and we will build something. So that's actually our plan. And if you want to join us, and I think it will be much beneficial if we talk about all the things. Because at first, when I started programming, it's very hard to get started, and I want to find someone who will help us. So if there is some students beside, everyone is working on the development things, I think it would be very much good, because you will get a help. And also, it is not always it's beneficial to work too much alone. So if you get some peers behind us, it's very good. So that's why we thought, okay, we could create some community things. So in that community, we will talk about the things, like about the development thing, what came. It's also for beneficial for everyone. I do things, and if you want to join us, that's I just share some link. And now I will, if anyone has any questions, they could.
Dear participants, any questions from anybody? Please ask. Please raise your hand. So before some time, there was a raise in hand. So is that person present? Anybody, any question? Okay. Suman, thank you very much for your nice presentation. Okay, and and this is actually very lots of information was there. So basically, novice guys can get some meaningful things from your presentation. So thank you once again. Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, so basically, so this comes to an end. So our event comes to an end. So I would like to give the vote of thanks now. Okay. So good evening, everyone. So I'm honored to have the opportunity to give a vote of thanks on this special day. So, like the honorable vice, our chief guest, so the present excellencies, the officers, environmental faculties, and my dear students. Like I thank the head of the department of our computer science and engineering department, Professor Vinod Kumar Pandey sir. So from Sister Nivedita University for giving me the opportunity to express this gratitude on this special day. A special thanks to him. So on behalf of Department of Computer Science and Engineering, School of Engineering, Sister of the University, I express my heartfelt thanks to our a fintech startup of India. So I would like to thank these outside speakers. So I want to thank all these guys for their wonderful presentation in this international webinar. It was quite insightful, and I think they have provided the required guidance to the students that will help them to choosing their right career path. I would also like to thank Mr. Shumon Das for his wonderful hands-on session in this event. I'd also like to give thanks to the entire organizing team, all the faculties of the School of Engineering, especially our Department of Computer Science and Engineering, and all the staff members. This includes our departmental faculties, especially our Professor Moushmi Bhattacharya ma'am, so Professor Farooq Kumar Ghosh sir, and Professor Anirban Mitra, and all the rest of the professors. So I want to thank all these guys. Without their help, we will not be able to, we might not be able to organize this event. So without their constant effort and monitoring, we would not have been able to organize this kind of event successfully. And now we also want to thank our team architects. So it's a community of School of Engineering SNU for their continuous support to organize this event. I'd also like to take their names now. So basically, these are some of the hardworking students who are behind the scenes and actually maintaining, helps us to maintaining this event peacefully. So Mr. Utsav Bhora, Shamartha Shanghai, Piyush Chandra, thanks to each and every one of you, Hishab Dasgupta, Shaurik Ghosh, Avinav Rai Chaudhuri, Shuman Das, Anant Kumar, Shantanu, Shantanu Bishwas, Debosmita Shamaddar, Tamim Iqbal, Shubham Trivedi, Shagnik Mitra, Shubhra Chakraborty, and others. So please don't mind if I missed your name here. So thank you everyone. Thank you very much for helping us to organize this event successfully. I would also like to thank the entire SNU website team for promoting our event in the website. Finally, I once again thank all the dignitaries, respected speakers, and the officials and students of the participating colleges and universities. Thanks again for making this webinar a grand success. Good night, everyone. Have a nice day. Thank you. So we can end our meeting here. Okay. Thank you, everyone.